medal a minute. Actually, the appropriate term is medallion, not medal. Yeah, we're going to... And this is going to be an interview with Doyle Morris.
Yes.
July 30th, 2003 at the Newton American Legion Boat. Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Okay.
All right, let's... Oh, sorry. It's out of my car.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your background, where you grew up.
I grew up in Oskaloosa, Iowa, in the 30s and 40s, and I was too young for World War II, so I volunteered for the Korean conflict.
How old were you when you volunteered?
20.
Okay. Had gone through school already?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Graduated high school in 1949.
Where from?
Oskaloosa.
Same place.
Yeah.
Volunteered, why?
Because I wanted to do something for my country.
Okay. Did you have any idea what you're getting yourself into?
Well, I had a sneaking suspicion, but my cousins was in the Second World War, and they talked to me, and they said, if you're careful, you'll make it. And they was right.
So you volunteered. First, tell me a little bit about your family. What did your family do, your parents do?
Okay, my father worked for a feed company in Oskaloosa, and I had one brother and 3 sisters. And my youngest sister, she's gone already. She died, heart attack. And my mom, if she lives till November, she'll be 99. Woo!
You've got good genes and you enjoy.
So I'm hoping I'll make it that long.
So you volunteered. What happened? What's the process to even just get through basic training?
Okay, I left. They sent me to Des Moines to be processed, then right to Kansas for my basic training. I was there 3 months, and overseas I went. 3 months. And I went by boat over to the coast of Korea. And I was replacing a guy that got killed. And we called it, our company was Easy Company.
Which division?
25th Infantry Division.
25th U.S. Army.
U.S. Army. And I've seen many sights, had lots of close calls, and I hope I don't have to go through that again. When you got to Korea,
give me a date or a rough time when you arrived.
Okay, when I first got there, we went to Seoul, Korea. That's where we started out. Then we moved north toward the 30th parallel, and we had one bluff that if you didn't run around the corner of that bluff, you was dead.
How was that?
Because the communists had that corner zeroed in, snipers. You come up on it from the backside and run around to the other side. It was just right straight up and down, like a bluff, like this. And if you didn't run, you was a goner.
When you first got to Korea, when you first got to Seoul, you said you went north out of that towards the 38th?
Yes.
I'm trying to, again, we need a date.
Okay.
Yeah, a month and a year.
Okay. I started out of Seoul, Korea in April of 1951.
51, okay, April 51.
And would you believe I had a sergeant that was an Indian, and I says, "Sir," and he says, "Don't call me sir. I'm just a sergeant to you." Okay, and that fella was not afraid of nothing.
Yeah. Where was he from?
He was from up north somewhere here in the States. He didn't say where. But he was good.
So you were moving north. So this is when MacArthur was having you all move north across the 38, heading up into. Did you cross the 38? Did you go very far?
We went 50 miles inside of North Korea.
Okay.
And they said that's as far as you're going.
You got up by the Iron Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then that was at the time period where you advanced so far, and then it was hold that position.
But until we got that far, we go from one front to the other, back and forth.
Okay.
There was two different fronts, one on the west side and one on the east side. And they'd
Yeah.
switch us back and forth.
Did they have names?
No,
Okay.
just west fire line and the east fire line.
What was your job in the Easy Company?
I was squad leader. And in the time I was squad leader, our commander said for us guys to oil our rifles at 50 degrees below zero. You know what we said to him? No way. Because we've seen squads do that and go out on patrol and they never come back.
Everything jammed up.
They froze.
Did you dig into bunkers and hold those bunkers?
We tried to.
Did you ever get off? Did you ever the Chinese come down and do frontal assaults on you?
Oh yeah, they said, "Banzai, here we come!" Bang, bang, tin pans and everything else.
Tell me about that, because that's interesting. Why did they use tin pans and horns?
To get our nerves all riled up.
So what did they do? I mean, when they started an attack.
And when they started an attack, come on up the hill, they'd bang these pans, and if they had 3 or 4 out of their company, bang these pans, and where's that come from? And then here they come, up the hill. And
What kind of weapon did you have?
M1 carbine.
Okay. And tell me about these hilltop assaults, because a lot of different people have talked about them, but it's tough to explain.
Well, one hilltop assault, I was standing there on guard, talking to a fellow inmate, a fellow soldier beside me. He lost his head, but I didn't. Now we could hear, but no head, just propped it right off. And oh my, because he just fell over, and then no head. And in my time over there, I've seen guys with bellies open, legs shot off. You'd be surprised what I didn't see.
When the Chinese came up the hills, I've heard that they didn't care how many people they lost.
No, they didn't. Because there was always a buku coming right behind them. So they didn't care. But us, nobody replaced us, so we had to do something.
Yep. What was it like when the attacks come at night, attacks come during
Some
the
at
day?
night and some real early in the morning.
Okay.
And the ones real early in the morning you could see, but the ones at night, you didn't have no idea. You couldn't see them.
So how did you have to wait until you saw fire coming in on you?
Yes. Plus, way back behind the line, they had what they call an artificial light. They shine up in the cloud and then back down.
Okay.
Like a great big searchlight.
Right, they just literally bounce it off a cloud. So
Bounce off the cloud back down.
So
That's what they used most of the time.
So you could see outlines at least.
They could see them sneaking up.
Yeah.
But one night, they was using that, and well, if you're not a praying man when you go, you soon will be. Well, anyway, one night, in the middle of the night, we heard something, and I said, "Oh, please, protect us." And there wasn't no lighthouse out there. It was real bright points sticking out, and it was no artificial light.
What was it?
It was a real bright, shining star. And we said, oh, he's watching.
How long would the attacks last?
Anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, and then they'd retreat.
Okay, so either they took the hill or they got back.
Yes.
And something that I'm sort of curious about, they took terrible losses. What happened to their bodies? I know that when Americans lost folks, they went out and got them. What did the Chinese do?
They buried them just with enough dirt to cover them. Laying on top of the ground, they just used enough dirt to cover them, that's all.
Right there in the spot.
And stink, man, rotten, ooh, it'd turn your stomach real fast.
How did you live with that?
We just got used to it.
I tell you, that's...
Yeah, we just got used to it.
So, you were there for 15 months?
Yes.
Thereabouts. Where were you most of that time, or all that time?
Up in Pyongyang, north of the 38th parallel.
Okay. Pyongyang was North
North Korea.
capital, right?
Mhm.
So you were in the city or just on the outside of the city?
Up in the mountains.
Up in the mountains, okay,
Mhm.
right.
And some of the mountains are so high, you was up above the clouds. Really.
Now, you said it was cold sometimes. Tell me about the cold, because that's...
In the wintertime, in the winter, when the snow came, 50 below zero, and we waded snow chest deep, and we put on all the clothes and stuff we could find. And to this day, would you believe, the ends of my fingers turn gray and sting like needles. And there's nothing I can do because it was not recorded. It was not medically recorded. So I'm just sunk.
Did you have the new boots, or Mickey Mouse boots, or did you have the old ones?
They give us what they call Mickey Mouse boots, and our feet froze. We throw them away.
Oh, so they didn't work.
Put leather boots back on.
Why didn't they work? I thought they were supposed to be the...
They were supposed to, but it didn't work.
How many pair of socks could you get in your boots?
2.
2? Okay.
And the socks we take off, the way we dried them was put them next to our bare skin, under our shirts, dried them out and put them right back on our feet again.
What was trench foot like? Did you ever get it?
No. Thank goodness, no. I didn't get trench foot.
But
I was what they call shell shocked.
Oh, okay. What was the occasion? What happened?
Well, we was on guard duty one night, and a bunch of shells came in, and when they hit, if you wasn't holding something onto something, you got thrown. The shock from these shells throwed you anywhere from 10 to 25 feet. And you couldn't stop yourself. You just went.
So you got a concussion?
No, they call it shell shock.
Okay. So the shock was from how it threw you, or was it from the boom that came from the shell itself?
It was from when it exploded and it hit the ground.
Okay.
That's what did it.
That's what did it.
Okay.
How long did it take you to recover from that?
2 days.
How did they treat you? And what did they do for shell shock?
They didn't do nothing. They said, you do it on your own. So we had to come out of it on our own.
Mines. Do you have a problem? Obviously you ran into mines all the time.
I've seen guys that had stepped on mines. And it wasn't funny, because it blowed up between their legs. No more man.
Ripped them apart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever hear of a mine called a Bouncing Betty mine?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen one.
Okay, not too many people have it.
No.
I've read about it, but it doesn't seem to have captured or to be remembered.
No.
Tell me about the MASH units, because obviously they became very important. You had so many.
Well, that was, the MASH unit was, say, 75 to 100 miles behind where we were. And they'd get our aid guys, you know, first aid guys, they'd ship the wounded back on jeeps. That's how they got them back there.
Okay. So they gave you some first aid as best they could.
They tried, yeah,
or morphine,
what they knew they could
Yeah.
do, and then shipped us real quick.
Back to the MASH units. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Back to the cold. How long did winter last? I mean, was it months and months, or was it?
Oh, yeah. It lasted from, say, November through the month of March. Yeah.
How about food? One of the things that has been interesting is that somebody has said they really made an effort to make sure you got one good hot meal a day. Is that true?
Up on the front line, it was impossible.
Okay. What were your meals like, starting with breakfast in the morning?
Well, for breakfast we'd have powdered eggs in a can, or sometimes we'd have cheese crackers in a can, and we just threw the can aside and ate it.
What did you do with the powdered eggs? Add water? Or they were ready to eat?
No, we just ate them like they was.
Okay. You didn't have to do anything to them?
No, just
Okay.
right out of the can.
They were good.
Oh, yeah. Then it was, yes.
How about lunch?
Lunch was dried ham, you know, dried hamburger.
Yep.
In grease. Whew. It was full of grease. And when we ate this stuff out of these cans, us guys gained weight. We went from, say, 180 pounds up to 240.
The grease and the fat?
Yeah, the grease and the fat did it.
That's amazing. How about dinner at night?
Whatever you could pick up.
Okay. Somebody delivered something?
No, we carried it in our backpack.
Okay. How many days rations did you carry with you?
3.
Okay.
And then they'd send you back 5 miles to replace yourself and then come back. That's how we did it, back and forth.
How about water? Where did you get water?
Out of the river. And they said, you ain't supposed to, but we said, why not? It's just crazy running all the time.
Yeah.
They said, it'll kill you. No, it won't. Not if it's running over rocks and stuff all the time, it won't.
And it didn't?
It didn't.
Yeah, okay. What did you sleep in?
We slept on top of a blanket.
Okay.
Either that or covered yourself up with it. Folded it over, you know. And we take turns when we sleeping like that at night. One guy stand guard for 3 hours and then switch off all night long. That's how we did it.
Have a tent?
No.
No tent.
Right out in the open.
Even in the middle of winter?
Yes.
Was obviously it snowed up there, had lots of snow. Was the snow deep? I mean, how did you operate and get around in?
When it weighed snow chest deep, you couldn't do much.
Neither could the enemy.
Neither could they. So it was a standoff.
Of the 15 months you were up there, of those 15 months, how many were tied up in fighting, and how much were just sort of bombing or? You know,
Well, I'll tell you one instant. The observer called the Air Force to strafe the enemy lines, and they give them the wrong coordinates. So what happened? They strafed their own lines, and we said, "You son of a..."
I heard that happen more than once. Was it napalm or was it 50 caliber?
50 caliber bullets. and we'd all hit the ground real quick.
You said that you were standing next to a guy who was literally decapitated. I mean, how do you, well, you were still a kid. I mean, how do you adjust, or how do you deal with something that traumatic?
It wasn't easy, but we knew them things happened, and I was sure I'd get it too, but no. Everybody to this day says the good Lord's watching you.
Of the guys in your unit, Easy Company, how many were injured or killed?
Well, I'll tell you, this is really true. When I had enough points, we had to have 36 points to rotate.
Okay.
The day I was informed I had 36 points I could rotate, they sent me by truck. And before I got 100 miles behind the line, they heard that my whole company was no more. Killed them all.
Wow. What happened?
The Chinese killed them.
Overran the...
Yeah, overran the post. Yeah. And I thought, oh, goody, thank you. I guess I saved myself.
Wow. That's amazing.
I was really shocked when I heard that.
Guys you knew, obviously.
Oh, yes. There were some colored fellows in my outfit, and he says, "Sir, I'll watch over you." I said, "No, no, 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 no." I said, "You watch yourself. I'll take care of me."
So there were some black soldiers, because they were starting to integrate units then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what were their jobs?
Same as mine.
Same as yours, so they brought them in as infantry.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he said, "Sir, I'll watch over you." I said, "No, you ain't. You watch yourself."
Where was he from?
Tennessee. And he was a good colored guy.
Good fighter?
Oh, yes.
Since you were up in the mountains, you didn't have Pattons or tanks or things like that, did you? I mean, it was
No.
all
They had him behind the mountain where they could go over, they could fire over.
Okay. But I mean, you were pretty much, if you were up in the mountains, you were pretty much up there by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
How often times did you get rotated out for break?
Every 3 months.
Okay.
And we'd go back for a shower every 3 months. Talk about stink.
You washed, you just didn't shower, right?
We washed.
Where did you go when you had break, when you had R&R?
They call it reserve behind the line.
So you weren't going back to Seoul, you were just not on the front line.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'd say maybe 50 miles behind the line. Where they had tents set up. And that's where we stayed.
Did you ever get into Seoul on R&R?
No. And R&R, they sent me to Japan.
Oh, okay. Oh, much better.
5 days in Japan.
And what could you do in 5 days in Japan? Spend lots of money.
Uh-huh.
Get a lot.
Spend a lot of money, see lots of night shows,
Yep. And then go back.
and then go back.
Have a shower.
Yeah.
Any buddies of yours go into the service, of the Korean War, fight the Korean War?
Well, there was some from Oscars, and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
No. They was in a different outfit, and I heard it when I came back. Plus, when I came back, after I rotated back home, and I got, say, 14 days leave before I go to the camp here in the States, I go visit my father and mother, and 4th of July, I dived under the bed when the firecracker went off. And my father laughed his head off at me because I was diving under the bed. Firecracker go off, I go, shoo, right now underneath that bed.
How long did it take before you finally got used to things?
Well, sir, even to this day, if I'm not careful, I'll still jump. I can just feel myself like that from the noise.
Did you said guys who didn't make it back, when you came back, one of the things that we're interested in is when you left, did your family send you off? Did the town do anything when you came back? Was there anybody there to say thank you for serving?
No.
Tell me about leaving, first of all. You were married at that time?
When I left, I was not married, no.
Right. So what was it like what was your memories of you just leaving?
There was, the time we left Oskaloosa, there was 11 of us left all at the same time by bus to Des Moines. Then they shipped us out to different camps here in the United States for our basic training. And when I came back, it was give me 14 days leave to go, and then I had to go to Fort Riley, Kansas, and I was used as what they call cadre, training young officers on night duties. And we could sneak up on them guys that didn't even hear us. They'd take us way off, and then let us sneak up on them. And then we'd come up and punch them on the shoulder. You're dead. They didn't hear us.
And they never did learn, did they?
No.
What were your officers like? I mean, one of the things stories about Korea is that there were a lot of World War II generals around, or officers that probably are a little bit beyond their time.
There was.
Yeah. Did you experience that?
No, I did not.
So you had a good officer.
Because
right?
I had a good sergeant that watched over us.
Yep, right. And he was there for the full time that you were.
Oh yes.
Yes, okay. Well, that's good.
He didn't make it back because he was still sergeant when I left.
So when Easy Company got overrun, he was overrun.
He was gone too.
That's too
I
bad.
said, "Oh, sorry, guy."
Yeah, that's too bad.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And we had mountains up there. Would you believe there was a gap in between them, and you had to jump them gaps with everything you had on. And if you didn't, shoo, down you go.
How much was your everything that you carried, your bag and?
All right, a backpack, steel helmet, rifle, bayonet, ammunition belt around your waist, ammunition belts crossways of your shoulders, 140 pounds.
You didn't weigh 140 pounds.
Not then.
Yeah.
That's what we had to carry. And if you didn't make it, bed.
I know that we had talked to somebody from the Marines who said that in the winter when they were coming down out of Chosin Reservoir, and they took as little as they could, but they still had to have weapons, they still had to have ammo. And he said it felt like 1,000 pounds on your back.
It did. Though you had to carry it, nobody else could.
When you were in camp, I know that, I think it was Charlie Brown had there were some Korean interpreters or liaison people.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have them with your units as well?
2.
Okay. What were their jobs?
They was cooks.
Okay.
They were served as cooks.
Right. Did they speak English?
One of them did,
Okay.
and we'd come talk back and forth,
Sure. How did you have any Korean Army guys with you? Because I'm curious.
No.
How did you interpret? I mean.
When he wasn't around, we just make believe.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'd have we had 3 Korean laborers plus the cooks.
Okay.
And we'd have them help us build steps up the mountain with ammunition boxes.
Steps up the mountain.
We'd make steps up it because you couldn't climb it otherwise. It was too straight up. It was phenomenal, man.
That's quite an engineering trick, even with ammo boxes.
Huh?
Yeah.
We'd use our little shovels they give us. We'd scrape a spot and put a piece of wood there and go up to the next spot. Build steps all the way up. That's the only way you could climb it.
Did your outpost have a name? Like Outpost Harry or?
No.
No, okay.
No name.
No name. Okay. Some places got names and some got
I know
numbers.
some of them did and some of them didn't.
Yeah.
Where we were, didn't.
Did any of the officers come up, the generals come up and visit you?
No.
Okay.
The only thing we had was once, while I was over there, we had a USO show.
Good.
Bob Hope.
You kidding me? Tell me about it.
He brought 2 actresses with him, and they put on a show for us guys. He was really great.
Now, how far away from the front was he when they put the show on?
20 miles behind the show, behind the line.
How many guys came down to watch?
Many. All we could find. All we could get let loose at once.
Yeah, that's tough. If you had to stay back and provide guard duty, that had to be a real bitter pill to take. Didn't
It was. But I don't see the USO show once. As Bob opened these actresses, and we all clapped our heads off.
Somebody said that sometimes it was the first time you'd seen women in a long time.
Yeah.
Who were the actresses? Do you remember?
Hedy Lamarr,
Okay, I was going to say probably her.
and I don't remember the other one.
But Hedy Lamarr was with him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was good.
So dance a little, sing a little, tell a few jokes.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
How-
He once he played Uncle Sam,
yeah,
and that was funny. He dressed up like Uncle Sam.
How far away from him were you?
Oh, probably 2 blocks away.
Yeah, there's a big group. There's a bunch of folks there.
Yeah, a bunch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When you went down to, how long were you on the front lines, and then when did you go back to the reserve line? Was it a 3-week, 1 week, or a 2-week, 2 weeks?
They'd send us up 3 weeks to the front, 1 week behind, and back up again.
So it was a full month's rotation that
Yeah.
you picked up, and
Yeah.
and when you were in the reserves, you were still always ready to go. Because,
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You had to do
When they called, we went.
Jeeps at all to get to the front line, trucks?
We rode up in the back of trucks.
Yeah.
And them trucks wasn't in as good a shape as you thought. Because we went up to the front line one night in the middle of the night, and I went through a hole in the bed. My foot went right through it. Hurt, clear down to my knee.
What'd you do when you came back after you got out of the Army?
Well, when I got discharged, I had 6 years in reserve, active reserve, and every time I went to summer camp, I lost my job.
Oh, not supposed to happen.
I know, but it did.
Yeah.
Every time I lost my job. So I said, that's enough of that, because I couldn't afford it.
Sure.
Because I wasn't making that much a week anyway, not back then. And when I finally got away, I really met a girl, and we married, and we had 3 kids. One of them still talks to me, the other 2 don't.
Yeah.
To this day, they won't.
But you had some responsibilities. You couldn't afford to lose your job all the time.
That's right.
Yeah. Anything else? You told me a lot, particularly about some of the little things. I want to go back to the Chinese charge, banging on the pans. And you'd be sound asleep at night, and all of a sudden you'd hear this banging and this horn blowing. And
He was not really sound asleep, because you didn't dare. He was intermediate sleeping. You jump, right now, use up. And rifle in hand, all ready. But thank the Lord, I never got shot.
how close? How close did it come to getting shot?
Like that, I told you about that kid that lost his
Right,
head.
Yeah.
And the other had a hole in his belly, standing on the other side. The bullet went right through him. He just plop on the ground. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's up to 40 minutes already.
That's
So it doesn't take very long to run it up, does it?
no, that's unbelievable.